Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL Officially Unofficial cast coverage of the LJL 2020 Spring Split Finals, facing Detonation FocusMe against Sengoku Gaming. I am still your host, Alex my Mars Swan on the internet, and of course I am joined by the illustrious good brother duo of Initialize and Nymera. Gentlemen, this series is definitely shaking up to be very unpredictable. So much is happening. I honestly can't quite keep a straight face during your casting, and I'm flabbergasted, frankly.
I was debated and outsmarted twice there by DFM and Sengoku Gaming. It looked a done deal. DFM looked like they turned it around twice. They managed to find multiple kills, but period on that. Ziggs made me eat my words multiple times.
I mean, Initialize, you just learned the lovely lesson of don't do it until the Nexus is fully gone. As a fellow
there was 50 gold away.
As a fellow silver player, you should know that game's not over till it's actually over, because we can find ways to int.
Yeah. Like,
so
quick, finish it. Finish the game like it's solo queue. Oh wait, it's silver solo queue. Doesn't quite end. Legit Fnatic versus OMG Season 4 Worlds flashbacks.
Oh.
Real awkward. So, has Sengoku figured out a way to actually beat DFM? That's the million-dollar question.
I think that having the Jarvan in over the Trundle and having something which can actually affect the game elsewhere on the map from the mid lane and the Ziggs, really big. I think that the shot glass combo between the Cataclysm, the Mega Inferno Garment, and then of course the bullet time as well for those extra shots coming in. It worked a treat. For the first time in this series, the bot lane of Sengoku got ahead. They ended up rolling across the map. Utonimi actually very good about picking up the farm and getting the lane priority and stuff. And the Ziggs was untouchable for most of the game.
Yeah. I mean, there was something to be said for, Karma Aphelios is great when you're shoving in. Not so great when you're under your own tower. There is no Thresh Lantern to save an Aphelios from a Cataclysm. And for much of the early game, that was a problem. Then he survived. Yep. And then there were problems.
So
and just look at the gold graph there. Look how absurd that is.
I mean, what's crazy is that it actually goes positive for DFM twice after, and then it's like, oh, Sengoku are gonna have it? No, Detonation FocusMe can have it back. Oh wait, no, it is a Sengoku game. It's what? Honestly, that was just
and behold, Mega Inferno Bomb damage.
Yeah, that's
absurd. 45,000 damage.
This is basically like when we talk about Zerats and Ziggs and people are like, you don't really want to play them. It's just kind of too hard to make the damage stick, even though they scale really well. Eventually people get too much move speed. It's really hard to do stuff. If you have picks which can set up for these long range, artillery champions, their damage is really high. Really high. We saw like Gang get one shot by a Mega Inferno Bomb near the Nexus there. And that's kind of what you get with this huge setup combo.
I mean, does that mean that they've actually figured out something out? Do they just spam play Ziggs?
I mean, do they get do they get I think Aatrox is such a comfort champion for Afterman. He played really well that game.
He did.
The Jarvan, I think that's the new thing really. Pyrion plays kind of everything, so I wonder what else you could pick something like a Xerath on top of that as well. The Mega Inferno one's crazy.
This is the fight where it all fell apart.
It did, and it was nearly enough, right?
It really was. The big thing is that the bullet time put Utonimi into a really unfavorable position. And then basically all of the brawler, big beef balls from DFM got into the backline and just shut down anything they were trying to do in terms of damage. This was the crazy thing, right? When we thought, well, is that it? The Flash Graviton with the Arena's Hurricane from Utopon. What a series this guy's having, actually. He has always been one of the premier Japanese ADCs, Utonimi actually being the other one. And for him to, put his name there and kind of say again, hey, look again, I'm in the finals, I'm doing pretty well. Such a big game for Utopon. Didn't quite close it out, though.
If one person had stayed behind to take an inhibitor, maybe they had time.
Maybe. But it's a game of inches. And do you actually practice for this kind of ending stuff? Crazy.
How do you practice?
You can't practice for it. That's the point. And I mean, this is just kind of showing that these two teams are relatively evened match, even when it looks like it's almost game over, because the team's just as good as you on the other side. You can't actually end, and the game just keeps going over and over and over again. I mean, I was frankly amazed that we ended that game without either team actually getting Dragon Soul. That's how close it was in so many spots.
Steel
actually
just
stole
at the end.
But
it was as the Nexus race was going on.
An irrelevant Dragon Soul then.
Yeah, for once, yeah, completely irrelevant. That is one of the closer game endings I have ever seen in League of Legends, actually. Seros tried to pull off some magic.
He nearly did it.
I'm not sure if you've pulled out a rabbit out of a hat or like a very angry Warring Kingdoms period warrior from Sengoku's logo, but like that was some close stuff from Seros. That Azir is
Good.
worth considering. I've been very impressed with him on that champion.
Okay, so what? Banning the Azir or considering picking it away from Cirrus?
I think
We know
in the
Pyrion can play.
isolated 1v1. Exactly right. Pyrion in the isolated 1v1 has been
doing
doing
fine.
well every game, actually. And that's been the big turnaround from the V3 series, right? I think that Seros was outlaning Ace in every game of that game.
It's been even, really.
This has been even to Pyrion's advantage. The question is how they managed to apply that around the map. In this game with the Mega Inferno Bomb, kind of makes it a bit easier, right? Because you have that pseudo-global advantage, and they used it with aplomb.
That is very true. I mean, with that all said, have they actually concretely figured everything out? They had to do a Syndra ban on 4. They had to also play around the map horribly. They had a gold lead, kill lead, but they didn't have an advantage lead when it came to objectives. And then DFM seemed to kind of get in the game partly through their objectives, partly because Sengoku went for a 5-man really bad engage on a bot lane turret.
That was bad, because you engaged onto one person with Cataclysm, and that one person which you've invested, 3 ultimates onto, had a stopwatch. So that was a really sucky engage. Like, it was probably the only bad engage they had that game. Overall, they managed their tools very well, but all it takes is one mistake, and DFM really just tear your whole arm off.
And that's a Wombo problem.
But I mean, that's the same thing. We've seen it on the complete opposite side from Sengoku, and they've done that countless times to other opponents who have given them an opportunity, and they have gone, oh, well, I guess we'll win this game because we shouldn't. And we've seen this countless times. Rascal Jesters versus Crest Gaming Act always pops into my head. Rascal Jesters should... Oh, I mean, Rascal Jesters where they 5-man were behind, and then Blitzcrank Ultimate. Aria, I'm sorry. And...
yeah.
This is
some really good games to go back and watch, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Some fun.
But this does raise a lot of interesting questions. How can Sengoku try and streamline this process? Because that was the least clean win I think I've ever seen. And I've played Silver solo queue.
Yeah. It's up there. I think the bot lane prio and the pressure on bot lane is the right direction to go in. I think that Yutomiyachi and NT have played very well from ahead in that game on the whole. Pyrion is winning most isolated matchups, but it's about how do you engineer a team comp that can continually keep going bot lane.
So we're saying mirror the advantage and the aggression that DFM are having.
Maybe.
Bit of that. I also think that, like, DFM drafted to the comp, which was fine when it was pushing. When it was under tower, it wasn't fantastic. If that had been a Thresh, that bot lane dive is significantly harder to pull off. And Steel did try to find some ganks, didn't find any kills. Remember, DFM were killers for a large portions of that game.
Yeah, until that fight in the inhibitor.
Yeah, so, I mean, if a return gank comes from the bot lane, that's 2 kills on the bot side. For DFM, that's very different.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really push and shove thing. I mean, part of it all does come down to Sengoku could have closed that game in very quick succession if they didn't have that unnecessary fight. But we're actually into pick and ban phase. So, gentlemen, as I've said, take this damn thing away.
And we're back. Sengoku Gaming have got a last breath. They're not quite Yasuo, but they've been doing a little bit of the fee to win thus far. They nearly threw it away. In the final hour, they just about scrape a win back. But that means DFM gets side selection, and they're back to red. Sengoku Gaming haven't shown they have an answer to DFM on this side as yet.
So, Aphelios banned, Trundle banned. This means that Elise is available, Renekton's is available, Set's available, Ornn's available. Yumi, of course, is still banned, which I think is very important. And of course, DFM still do not want that Varus to be first picked away from it, nor do they want to see that.
We say something like Set Jarvan.
We could see something like that. Lil Blanc, of course, still being banned away from Pyrion. He's such a good
very good
player of that champion. It means Zoe's still available. That's something which we haven't seen from Pyrion yet. It's always been banned at some point during the pick order. First pick Misfortune, Aphelios banned. This means that Utapon has to play something different. Varus is away. Do you have a lane dominant pick to play into this? If so, what is it? There have been a lot of AD carry changes on this. Kai'Sa is available. Ezreal's available. Ashe is available. He's actually pretty good into the MF as well, being quite immobile. There's stuff like the Kallista's been nerfed, but still available. Tristana is around if you really want to do something weird too. And the Xayah, of course, is pretty well. The Senna was nerfed pretty heavily over this patch between 10.5 to 10.8. It's been hit quite a lot in terms of its soul generation, but it has been picked up for the first time in either today or yesterday's game by DFM.
They have gone towards it. We'll see what they want to pair it up. Remember, Gang is often the center player. So what does DFM have prepped to go with it? Ornn is going to come in because there is no Trundle.
There's no Trundle. This is a very good kind of teamfight initiation from all ranges across the map. From the top lane and the bot lane. Of course, remember that Ornn can be played in the mid lane. It was played it was played by DFM against Sengoku in their first game of their first series in the Juggernaut match. And that was a game where Pyrion played Zoe into it. I would actually quite like to see an early Zoe pick if they would like to do that right now. No junglers has been picked up. Depends what they really feel like their priority is on. Okay, the Aatrox works out really well for Aquaman. It's a comfort pick as well. We talked about it being his best champion. He was such a monster, even on the weak side of the map. Nigh unkillable on that Aatrox. It's been locked in the first number of picks for Sengoku.
Yeah, and he did very well in the early game. Some great dives went his way. He survived a number of dives gone his way.
Yeah.
What do DFM want to pick up here? They've got a laner in the center, and they've gone for the Ornn as well. Still very flexible between the top and mid. We know Saros plays that as well.
Still available.
And Ebby is a fabulous narc, but they've gone towards the Pantheon. Steel is a good Pantheon when his level 1 isn't messed up.
Basically, what happened in Sengoku versus DFM the first time around, basically there were 2 games of Pantheon back-to-back from Steel in games 1 and game 2. They went very, very differently based on the 2 games and how those games started. I think that DFM have to ban away the Zoe here. I think that just screwed them over so badly in that first game when Saros really didn't have a lot of inroads into that game. They banned away the Victor, which is very different. That means that either Jarvan or the Zoe will be available. So Sengoku will have to consider what their bans will be. I don't know whether they'll be banning out some more mid laners, something like the Syndra. They continually kept banning.
And you've got to remember the range on DFM's ultimate is huge. Dawning Shadow, global, Call of the Forge Guard. Let's call it semi-global. Similar deal with the Grand Star from Pantheon. There is a great deal of range on those ultimates.
They're actually banning away the Maokai, which can be played. Remember that actually it could also be an Ornn bot lane. Could be Ornn bot lane as well. So actually Sengoku banning away the Maokai, which could also go into that bot lane and just kind of farm up alongside that center. We've seen that a couple of times across some pro regions. So DFM, considering what they have left in the champion pool, and see what's worth banning.
Absolutely, we'll see.
So Jarvan's available. Sengoku might just go back towards that.
Yeah, Jarvan is available. Senna is another one of those carries that doesn't really want to be in the Cataclysm with the Jarvan.
Yeah, exactly. So potentially the shotgun combo, the shot glass combo still available there. Sengoku 1 ban remaining. I would imagine that it should be. Well, Cinder thinks that this Ornn could be mid lane, and Saros has played that.
Yeah, he has.
In that lane. So
I mean, there's still Azir available. I wonder whether they just go back to the Azir. Saros look great on it, and it's a bit more consistent damage. They're kind of missing. Yeah. Nautilus is another hard bit of engage. They have shown they like
point and click.
Oh yeah, it is.
I think so. Point and click into point and click from the Pantheon 2 is just really annoying. So DFM find themselves a lot of the picks which they used earlier in this series still available to them. They could go back to some of that comfort. They've already gone for a very different flavor of composition on this 4th game as well.
Do they leave last pick to?
Okay, Tahm Kench is kind of like the that's always been the pick of choice into the with the center as a pairing because it allows the Tahm Kench to become very tanky. Also very good into the Thresh itself because you can swallow up the hooked target as well.
Yeah, and especially if you go for the Jarvan, you can eat people out of the Cataclysm. It is a possibility. So you've just adding in that little bit of safety, which was not available in the last game. Sure. It does, though, leave Syndra up because Sengoku haven't banned that away this time, and Pyrion will be thinking about picking that one up. He's going to go towards the Azir, though.
It does leave open the Syndra as a response from DFM. So, the thing is, whether it was the Azir or whether it was a Syndra, they're still relatively immobile and quite prey to the Call of Forge God. They're still backline carries. And the Azir, of course, has his shifting stance to start giving himself some mobility. Also really good at tank shredding. The Misfortune isn't always so good at that if DFM found themselves just itemizing towards mainly AD. Good thing is that, there are some counterplays you can have towards the Pantheon.
That's a Jarvan.
Jarvan's coming in as well. Yeah, so I think that worked out really well for Blank in terms of the early game plan from it. They won't have the same semi-global presence in terms of the Mega Inferno.
DFM go towards a Heimerdinger again into the Azir.
They could do, yeah, and it does give them that. It gives them that backline presence, but I don't know if they'd want to do that on top of the Pantheon Ornn though, because it's kind of hard to kind of connect the dots between the front line and the back line with the Heimdallr. Ziggs would be
make
much
a lot more sense.
better because you then
It's another global.
Exactly, it's another global, and you stun with the Pantheon into all the damage from the Ziggs. It's not quite the same as having the Cataclysms kind of group them all up into it, still be a single target kind of thing, but you can still set up pretty nicely for Seros' Ziggs. That is, he's pretty good at that champion. It's one of his classics.
It is, and what this does mean, though, is that the bot lane pressure that DFM normally go for perhaps isn't there quite as heavily with the Senna Time Kench. The Tongue Lash and the Piercing Darkness, pretty good combo for poking people out from range, but it's not the same wave clear. It's not the same turret taking capability.
Sure. Yeah, so I think at DFM, again, if they get bot lane pressure here against the Misfortune Thresh, it's unlikely, but of course Pantheon can do ungodly things. So we have ourselves at the end of the draft once more. So we kind of forgot about it last game, but it was fun. If you're around to think about and take us through some questions and some thoughts about this last game, well, sorry, not last game.
Lay it on us.
Script's been leaked about this game 4 draft. Do you have any particular thoughts?
You've got there eventually, didn't you? And I eventually unmuted my microphone as well. So I mean, it's a dual way thing. I don't understand why we're doing this. Why are we doing Tahm Kench Senna? Why?
Particularly in patch 10.8.
Yeah.
Against a lane where like you've won so many bot lanes and won through that, it's difficult.
I don't get why we're doing that. I love Ebby playing on. Pantheon raises question marks, but I don't hate it. We have seen Still play it before, so it's definitely in their wheelhouse. It's just this bot lane where I'm just like, God, is that how they're just going to try and give another game over to Sengoku? It is, but it just doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of the team.
Yeah, in some ways.
It's like
I agree,
trying to do two things.
The good thing is, if Pantheon goes forward, at least you have some follow-up, right? Senna gets to become quite long range as she gets more souls. The Ornn obviously has a lot of follow-up too, and Ziggs is
just the poke boy.
Long range as a mid laner. So, like, there is a good chance you can start lining up some of this wombo combo, but it's not continued damage. My worry is, if Aatrox gets really fed in this game, it's going to be really hard to take him out on one side of the map unless you have, like, Senna and Ziggs there, and that can be quite difficult.
Yep. Yeah. It will become incredibly difficult. Yeah, go ahead.
There's also something you said for, like, the global elements of DFM's comp are pretty huge. You've got the Abyssal Void, you've got the Dawning Shadow. Every single one of those champions has the ability to affect the map from a very, very long way away.
I'm just
and especially with the way Sengoku played the early game last time, it was let us dive one area, and DFM couldn't respond in time. With those ultimates, they have a chance to do that.
But Gang has played so well this series, and having him enough Tahm Kench, it's a different style of play, but it's not the same kind of front foot, let's win lane, let's get picks, let's have a very important team fight kind of style of play. You can save your carries, and saving your Ziggs in the center, that's a very worthwhile thing to do. But the question is Gang really going to be have the same level of agency in this game which he's had before?
No, and I mean, I really think to emphasize that Gang, we saw arguably the best Rakan player maybe in the league, pulling 4 or 5 man like ultimates where just everybody's charmed. I just don't think we're going to see that same impact. Normally, when we actually were kind of applauding the Senna Tahm Kench lane, it was when actually you had Gang on the Senna.
Much stronger.
Well, it was much stronger, and Gang was also playing the Senna, which is a different kind of point of view, whereas this time we've actually got Utapon playing the Senna, which raises even more questions into it, because it's like, it's not like Gang can just do these kind of really long stuns that he does, and then ult halfway across the map, assist Ebby, and it's like, okay, this is why you put do this, not the other way around.
Well, I remember in the last couple of weeks of play, DFM played Senna Nautilus, where Gang was on the center, and then Utapon was on the Nautilus, and they also played Varus center in a double poke lane, and Gang played it again there because the other AD carry went over towards Utapon. Looks like we're kind of loading in closer into game here, so
we are.
I asked some similar questions myself, Lexi.
Yeah, well, good luck to both these teams, and gentlemen, take this thing away.
And
take it away from him. Take it away
once again, and Sengoku Gaming still alive. They aren't done yet. The reverse sweep is still available. 1 of 3 done. DFM, you shake off the nerves. They've still got match point. They can still do a lot of work here. They have got room to do something. They're thinking about going for an invade. They're trying to scout out this Pantheon. He's going for that topside start because, of course, if Utapon and Gang are being shoved in by this Misfortune Thresh, Pantheon getting a long lane to gank into with a lot of slows and grabs from Senna and Tahm Kench could be a bit of a risk.
My worry is, basically, if you're trying to gank an Aatrox as on Pantheon, it's not particularly high damage. If you do it in the early game, yeah, you can kind of make that work just because of base damage is pretty high. But the longer the game goes on, particularly when you get to 2 items on the Aatrox, he's effectively unkillable to that duo in my eyes, really, unless he takes a series of bad trades. And at that point, I mean, that's the skill difference, really.
Yeah, but we have had that conversation with, as we see the AI coming up, and it's back to 51%
No,
for
but this is
Sengoku
the
gaming.
first time that Sengoku have had an advantage in this AI.
No, they have. They had it the first game. They had 51%.
Okay, all right, okay.
So
My bad.
the first time DFM had an advantage was the last game, and they lost it.
You did.
Otherwise, it's been even to behind. Ebby and Steel starting this top side, similar for Blank and Apperman.
Once again, we don't see a level 1 scout from either team. We see some wards put down on both sides, but nothing really scouting out the individual buffs. They will see, however, DFM, that it was a late return to lane for, Thresh landing the flay.
He does land the flay, and that's
So
a
much
lot
damage.
of damage with the double up. Utapon taken perilously low.
And this is the problem with the center lane versus someone really lane dominant, but like the Misfortune. You do have some sustain in your kit, but just like Misfortune is so lane dominant.
Double up is an ability. It does a lot of work. Speaking about the Aatrox and the Ornn, Licorice thinks it's actually a complete skill matchup. You can absolutely solo kill the Aatrox by Licorice.
In the early game, sure, but then when you get later into the game, eventually this Aatrox just becomes a drain tank, and like you can't, particularly because the Pantheon doesn't have the highest damage, he falls off later. I think that the Aatrox will be feeling pretty happy in the side lane as this game goes on, as long as it's not ridiculously overpowered. And of course, the Ziggs can also help as well.
Yeah, mid lane, pretty even thus far. Slight health bar advantage, but Steel is here with his red buff and level 3. Blank's around, but now difficult spot is going to have to shifting sands away from that satchel charge.
Okay. All right.
Steel's on the other side looking to find Blank.
Yeah, so actually Blank will see that ward die, knows that he's been seen, knows that Steel is in that river brush. So yeah, kind of a bit of early, back and forth.
Shenanigans,
yes,
we'll call it. Bot lane ward put in by Blank to scout out Steel here by that blue buff. It is sorted out. Continues to potentially look for a bit of a pressure around this Scuttle Crab and bot lane advantage as well. Senna and Tahm Kench being shoved in. That's sometimes just the way of that lane.
Yeah, it kind of is. And remember that it will be the Tahm Kench farming. We're more about tracking the souls on the Senna. The thing about patch 10.8, we saw Senna lose another kind of way to generate souls as well. As Evie takes a good trade in the top lane there, had slight level advantage before those minions died. The thing is, basically, when Senna pokes out champions, you can take some souls from them, which again give her the increased stats, and eventually every 20 souls she gets gives her increased range on her auto attacks and abilities too. The thing is that the cooldown on taking souls from champions has been increased on this patch that they're playing on patch 10.8, which means again it's a slower way to get to those massive breakpoints of 20 souls.
It is, however, double scuttle now for Blank, who managed to get both the bot and the top. That's pretty good going. And good work from Blank in this early game thus far. Trading again on the bot side.
It is, yeah. So the pot's been used all up from Utapon, but of course has himself the cookies as well to keep himself sustained. But yeah, looking like it's going pretty well for Sengoku in the bot lane thus far.
It is. Bit of trading going back and forth. And Piercing Darkness is an ability, but so is Double Up. It's pretty much dead even right now, but there is more wave here for Yutori Miyashi to pick up.
It is. So nothing really happening in the early game right now. I think that favors Sengoku because of the early power that Pantheon brings. Blank has managed to, again, kind of turn up to that mid lane play as Steel was looking for a play there. I think Korean positioned very well. And this is one of the differences we see between like some of the better mid laners and then the really good mid laners. They just know where to position in accordance to where the junglers should be on the map instead of just using their instincts well.
Yeah, a bit of a ping of on the way there from Azir, thinking about maybe turning up towards the bot lane, but was quickly rectified and turned around. Thus far, very quiet. It's about 100 gold lead to Sengoku, but
it doesn't mean anything. That's
means
that will be that'll be evened out by like waves going into the right position and like dying to getting pushed into one side or the other. Zeros is going to take him back, has himself double Dorans, and then he's already used his TP to get back to the lane the once, as has Pyrian to get that garage sale of various bits and bobs, which are useful for your laning phase. They're going to back again on this next cannon wave. Actually, no, Pyrian's going to stay.
In behind. There's a Thresh Lantern available. Got to be very careful. The Lantern gank is available to go. Watch out. Enti's moving forwards. DFM pulling back. They're kind of afraid. Gang is there. There is the ward, and Blank doesn't pull off the Lantern gank. but they are going to continue this pressure. The hook is there, but so is the Devour.
Remember that?
Both wards down.
Yeah, remember the early game Devourers on a really long cooldown nowadays. Steel actually might walk into Blank actually trying just to get that blind over the wall, so they will know where the Pantheon is. But they, both junglers known quantities now.
They're kind of aware of where that Jarvan is. He's going to come straight back out. Comet Spear misses that time around. Blind once, not the second time.
Yeah, so Enti going to get rooted up there, but he's
grasp
going to land
lands, last grasp, and we're going to see a gang get spat out.
Lands
They're going to try to get you. There is the heal, but Steel's still around. It's going to be a 3 versus 3.
No
and there
available.
is a lot of damage now onto Blank, but he's going to flag and drag away. Enti now in a bit of trouble, looking to stack up those Devour stacks. That's another last grab that has been flashed by Enti. Heal, ignite, flash from one side, and it's the exhaust and the heal from Utapon again.
Yeah, I think if that last craft lands, you're going to see a Mega Inferno Bomb dropping right on top of his head as the flash comes away from Enti. That's 3 summoners
They're
away.
Still not gone.
They're still trying to fight a position here, probably because of the early dragon, which is alive here.
They are. Blank and the rest of DFM are still around here. Azir in this river looking to pick up the Scuttle Crab. Seros under his tower. Had to go back and pick up the wave.
Yeah, so Saros ended up getting first roam for that initial play. There was a teleport available from Ornn, but no one else on the map. And I think that kind of dissuaded Sengoku, particularly because Azir wasn't there at the start of the fight, to really commit to that play in full. This might mean that DFM get themselves the early dragon.
They are going to be around.
Yeah, to the bot lane reset,
Gang is just going to teleport back with his spellbook. He'll be around having picked up a giant spell and a cloth armor, which is ninth amount of HP and early armor to deal with that misfortune, which had been bullying a little earlier on into that lane.
And remember, the only dragon which the only first dragon which Sengoku managed to claim was in game 1, where Steel died for it, taking the Blast Cone over and then not being able to take the Thrash Lantern back because the control was on it. Every other first Drake has gone over to the side of DFM. Their objective play in this series compared to the last one they had against Sengoku has been night and day. They've really been getting some, being able to find some advantages in the early game.
They have. Going to see a bit more trading. That's a double up. But again, it just does less now because of that pickup by Gang. Just quite enough.
Tanky. It's very tanky.
He is very tanky, and finally Utapon is going to get his chance to back. He didn't back earlier to secure that Drake. They're going to try and interrupt it. Yeah. He does get interrupted. Just a little bit greedy with his back.
Well, it's sometimes hard to know because sometimes the bot lane wants to go off and ward instead of start looking for that. It just depends on some micro movements. But yes, it will be Utapon missing. Actually, I mean, you might have to stay for the wave now actually because it's just coming into turret. But no, it is of course the time catch farming, so it's not the worst.
Not the end of the world now.
Yeah.
Saros is here. He's just poking out this wave. Does get that the CS as well.
Very even from him. But it's really hard to deny Ziggs from farming because
it really is.
The bouncing bomb's just able to reach the farm from absolutely forever away. Top lane for once actually going the way of Appman. And the Observer very rightly pointing out there's an execution is calling on.
Curious first item there. I kind of like it.
It's better for the aggressive trades instead of going as much.
It's very heavy.
Bramble Vest, right? Yeah. It also means that thing is when you go for a Bramble Vest, it means that someone has to auto attack you. It doesn't actually affect Azir, by the way.
Everyone else is turning up towards his top side. Rift Herald is
Steel's there, but
Steel's here. So is Senna. So is Ziggs.
Everyone here. This would be actually a 5v5. This point of the game.
It would be, and level 6s are all around,
but none for Senna. That's very important. Hook lands onto the... Okay.
Devour's there,
but
the
now
shuffle was big. They're going to find a lot out. 2-for-1 trade, but now Blank's in trouble. Appleman in a bit of an awkward spot as well. The bullet time is good. Here comes the call of the Forge God. The re-engage from DFM, not bad. Look where Blank is. The Cataclysm wasn't bad. First blood goes over to Ornn. G-Rex symbol thrown out of all things.
Yeah, it's been thrown out a couple of times. So, actually, the fight goes the way of DFM without the Senna ultimate. As much as the 2-for-1 special with the Shurima Shuffle came in, the Grand Starfall from the Pantheon kind of evened up the fight, and then Ebby just raked that ultimate across the entire team on Ornn there. And it's surprising to see this pick not be prioritized so much across this entire series, but it's come out pretty big just then.
Let's just check it out one more time. They're all here. We thought it was done when Utapon gets hooked, but Tom Kench, my friends.
But this is the thing, right? He manages to spit out Utapon, who then managed to reset the fight. And Perion takes a lot of damage on the start of this. It means he can't really commit to the fight afterwards. And then Blank has to commit pretty deep as he thinks they're just not on the same page. And Saros manages to just zone off so much of the team to then end up mattering at the end.
It really didn't. That's Rift Herald, that's Cloud Drake, that's First Blood, and it's a golden advantage in this early game over to DFM.
It is, of course, it's not like...
No, it's
not
300. It's not huge.
It's not a game-ending thing. Of course, the Herald going over is pretty... it's pretty important because both teams invested quite a lot to get to that Herald fight in time. It wasn't like Sengoku tried to... it was against the run of play, considering that Sengoku had got to the objective first, and of course, there was no ultimate on the center. So, big advantage... Well, a big mic... Small advantage to DFM. We'll
There
call it
is
that
the
way.
potential of quite a big advantage, because remember, Herald's value goes up so much when you have a Ziggs to double it up with. And frankly, also because Senna's not the greatest pushing towers, having the Herald to kind of fight against that does help alleviate that. So I kind of think it is in some ways if they can use the Herald correctly.
Sure, it will be. So, see where DFM really want to plonk that down. The thing is, they don't exactly have the best lane positions to really start pushing.
No, they don't right now.
Bot lane currently pushing in, Steel making his way down there, but it's not like the other lanes are in a great position to put that Herald down.
Maybe going to get pulled back. He does take a bit of damage, but it's also traded back fairly well. There's the pop coming through. NT and Utorimashi need to be afraid.
Oh, there's no flash on to Goosebon here.
Got to be a bit careful. Gang might have to get devoured here. We'll see how they wait for it. There's the devour. I think Utapon is just going to die because there's no
teleports coming in.
They're going to teleport in. That's Utapon taken very, very low. I think this is going to be a complete wash for Sengoku Gaming. Who've got a lot of damage. The shuffle is big. This time around, it's Pyrian that gets the great Azir play in the bot lane.
It is. So again, just waiting out the Devour there, really well played from the side of Sengoku. And as much as the ultimate was being channeled by Youthpon, didn't end up going off. So the shield didn't come through. The hook landed while he was stationary as well. Probably would have died at the end of it. Very close with the Mega Inferno Bomb combo at the end of it to try and pick up a return kill. But what that means, it delays the Herald put down even further. And this bot lane are very far ahead now.
They are pretty far ahead. That's great news for Sengoku Gaming. It brings them back to a gold lead. Steel has got this Herald. He's roaming top. He's not got all that much time on it. But here we go. Here comes the Grand Starfall. Ebby is going to get that Call of the Forge Gold running. Ebby does knock up the Apperman, and Apperman is just done.
He's done. All the brittle procs come in. Damage comes through. Apperman's going to go down for the first death between these top laners.
He is, and that means that there is a Herald up top that will likely be summoned. Bot lane play didn't work out. Top one certainly does.
Yeah, it does mean that a dragon goes over to Sengoku. It's a mountain dragon. It's important to take that away from the Ornn and, of course, the Tahm Kench and, various other tanky members across this game right here. It's going to mean that Ebby is going to have, because, of course, they have the Herald on top lane. Might even be the first turret going down in that lane.
Does take the last grasp there, but he's going to be okay. Herald is summoned. It's down to that 2.5 plate mark. They're going to shove it in. They're going to dive bot lane once again.
No summoners besides the heal.
Here we go. They're going to try and find their way out. NT's here. Here comes the teleport. There's the heal. They've dealt the Devour down already. I think this is going to be trouble. They're going to try and get to the wave. They have got there. They're forcing it back. Utorimashi actually taking a lot of damage. Blank is coming in now. I think Utapon is just going to die now. They've got they've got first turret in the bot side, but Gang surely falls here. There's not all that much. He's taking a lot of tower shots. Blank has had to go golden. The stopwatch is good. And it's another good bot lane dive from Sengoku Gaming.
So they're going to lose a wave or two in topside. They might even lose themselves the entirety. Oh, no. This is going to be a Ziggs push in mid lane too. I don't think it's going to get low enough, quite enough for the satchel charge to come in just now. But they might lose themselves to top lane in a turret.
They might. It's going to get really low here.
Yeah,
it's only down to 2, but that puts it, especially with turret plates, not far off, quite a long way away. Well, not very long, far away, rather, from this Ziggs execution range. They did get 2 turrets on the top side, so it's 2 kills for a couple plates, but 2 turrets and plates in mid.
It's gold onto the Ornn. But the thing is, you're against Nazir, who's getting really fed. You're against the Misfortune,
who's getting really fed.
And it's not like Apperman isn't getting some involvement across the board as well. Has himself the Black Cleaver. He's going to be useful in these team fights still. This Ornn might be able to tank up quite a bit. The question is, can they win team fights with just an advantage on the Ornn?
Yeah, I mean, Ziggs also got a fair amount in the mid lane, so that's something for DFM.
It
actually does flip the gold lead back to DFM for now, but guess who's back? It's not Shady, but Blank is close enough. We're going to see another attempted dive here. There are teleports almost available for Ebby, though. There is an ultimate for Steel just coming off cooldown. In fact, I think it is off cooldown. It's just that slight white line at the top that's kind of showing me. I don't think
Ebby has his teleport there. I think that Steel does have his ultimate back now as well. So there are globals available. That's a lot of plates taken by DFM, which have evened up this goal.
Going to go into Saros. There's the flash. He's still in trouble, though. Here comes Pantheon, but I don't think it's enough. They get the kill.
Yeah, and that means that actually there's going to be maybe a push onto second Herald here, which is spawning in the next 20 seconds. Ziggs has no teleport. And so that's going to be Herald over to the side of Sengoku.
Yeah, Ziggs is dead. Herald is going to be alive in 10 seconds. It'll be 15 seconds before he's back on the map. He doesn't have to Inferno bot.
Ziggs dead, baby. Ziggs dead.
Ziggs is dead. And there is a shove in the bot lane, but we know Senna and Tahm Kench aren't the fastest at this.
Nope, they are not. And they also don't have plates to take as well. There's a full HP tower. With all of these said and done, So yeah, oh, it looks like we're time traveling again, so we're slightly behind the stream. Oh, I love it when that happens.
Do love it when that happens. It's another good early game from Sengoku Gaming around this bot lane again. And the
Refresh the stream.
second Herald is taken now by Sengoku Gaming. Steel
Yep.
takes down the Raptors, and the bot turret is slowly going down.
They'll take it with this wave, I think.
Should do,
because
but Thresh and Neutral
it's a
are
cannon
going
wave.
to come down.
It's a cannon wave. So it should still go down either way. So it will be actually 3 turrets to none, all things said. 3 turrets to 1.
As you speak of it.
With the cull being cashed in by Apperman as well, it means that he's doing pretty well by and large as well.
And we're going to see how it goes. Let's check out those gold leads. It's just it's a slight lead for Ornn. It is a lead for Yuto Umehashi quite heavily.
It's also a lead for the Azir pretty heavily
It is,
too.
yeah. Pantheon's ahead, but that's a good thing for the early game. But
and we've seen what Azir can do in these games.
Oh, we have.
Like, if he ever gets to those item breakpoints, it's pretty nasty. So obviously there are ways to reach the backline from this team of DFM. So it's not like Azir will be able to deal damage with impunity. But a lot of them are kind of like this one-time only kind of thing in a team fight, right? You're trying to get onto him with either a flash or an ultimate Pantheon, trying to do it with the Call of the Forge God too. You have some ultimates to layer over the top of that with the Omega Inferno Bomb and the Dawning Shadow as well. But if Azir manages to disengage that initial part of the fight, then he gets to really wail on people like this Tahm Kench, who will never be able to out-tank this Azir once he gets to his full items. Utapon, you see the amount of damage he takes from the Azir too.
He does manage to heal himself back up fairly well with the Piercing Darkness, but he's very squishy. He's only level 8.
Oh, they might be
Poor
looking for a play
baby.
here.
Ebby's in the way. He's just managed to get onto Blank and doing a fair amount of damage. He's got 3 levels up. They're going to try and find this fight, but I'm not sure Sengoku Gaming really want this.
Oh,
Ebby taking a failure on. Mega Photo Bomb does go down.
Okay. All right. So that is, I mean, an ultimate for none. It's a little bit of pressure either way as well. And the thing is, though, DFM are just looking for that extra bit of poke, just an extra quarter of that tower HP to go down. Then you start using the satchel. Question is, will this lead to anything in terms of the Ocean Dragon? It will be the second dragon, and this is an Ocean Rift. First one
Big
we've
deal.
seen of this series. Ocean Rift is so important for these drain tank targets like the Ornn and, of course, the Aatrox as well. NTT
Takes
so
so much damage. He's got to be very careful. He's thrown down the Redemption. Apperman gets on to Steel briefly, but he's got a Legion shield to keep himself
Remember,
safe.
there's a shuffle available here too. We saw it happen around the Herald fight. There's a flash available from both bot lane members from DFM, but if you catch someone when they've been devoured, you get both of them back for free.
Here comes the Rift Herald. The shove continues. Evie is back. He's got himself towards nearly that second. Steel's gone in. They found some damage. That's a big Dawning Shadow. Apperman is nearly dead, but he's still alive. And the combo is burnt from DFM. They save their mid-turret. Apperman has to back, but he's got teleport nearly. Youthpon has to be a bit careful. They're still looking to keep poking out.
There's a flash from Ebby. He can try and flash over the wall and get a knock-up as well, something like that. You can't really let this Ornn go. I mean, he's really tanky at this point in time. His full HP hasn't completed. Sunfire Cape doesn't have his completed Ornn items yet. Steel's actually going to go down towards that dragon.
Jarvan had to back.
Jarvan had to back as well. So it looks like the dragon's going to go over to DFM.
DFM might give up their mid-turret for this, but they are here.
There's no way. I'm not sure about that.
And the Piercing Darkness pulled Steel's health bar back quite happily. They're going to get back, and that was a good play by DFM to secure that. No kills.
It's not game-winning yet, of course. I mean, Sengoku are still happy that they have time to scale and have items. They didn't lose their mid-turret as well, which is important when you talk about these things. You thought actually is taking Raptors for...
Of course you are.
Yeah, because, you know, it's
why wouldn't you?
Freebie. Yeah. Nice.
Free real estate, as Mass One does love to say. Ziggs possibly looking for a back here. Ebby down on this bot side is ungodly tanky at this point in the game.
And Apperman very, very nearly died in that fight, but he just manages to get out with his HP bar intact.
He's done that a couple games in a row now.
He's done that a few times, yeah. Maybe he gets extra HP from the amount of...
He does love playing close to the edge. It's where his KDA is often a little bit suspect.
Maybe it's what happens. Like, maybe you get extra resist because, like, he effectively has, like, this safety buffer zone because of his hair.
Yes.
The afro.
That's what it is. It's like Crash Helmet. I see.
Yeah, it's a Crash Helmet.
It's a crash test dummy. That's why he likes Aatrox. Just going in really
portrait.
hard and basically battering people.
Yeah, you'll see his portrait turn up on the player cams every so often. And
it's wonderful.
His hair is
just wonderful.
It might be my favorite thing about the LJL. That's why we're here. That's why we
the
chose
game's
to cast the LJL.
nothing. Yes,
it is just Apperman's hair.
We stan Apperman's hair.
Sure, something like that. So once again, we're returning to the JRAM.
Blank loves going over these walls.
There's no Ziggs here this time, though. He has teleport.
But there's a Mega Inferno bomb, though, so it might be a bit of a risk if tower goes down there.
All right, so the push of, the tug of war ends up at this point in time going up to Sengoku. And what this means is that now you're not trying to bounce waves between this very thin point in the map. Probably Sengoku have the advantage pushing up for mid-priority because, their tower will be under less threat as well.
Yep, Ebby, the AI suggesting a 57% win rate to
Honestly,
Sengoku, I mean,
I wonder how much percentage that went up just because that mid lane tower went down against
that's
the
a good
Ziggs,
question.
and actually against this team which likes to have a controlled state of play and just have Ziggs kind of affecting other areas of the map.
Yeah, that is a question. I don't know where the stats are drawn from. I don't know what stats particularly they're paying attention to. This mid lane tower is now also fairly low. And Ziggs doesn't need much more to look for an execute, but they can't quite get close enough this wave yet.
No, not quite. Bot lane also pushing in favor of DFM as well. All items picked up for Ebby, has himself the completed Abyssal Mask and the Fortify Cape. What's the Abyssal Mask upgrade?
It is the Infernal Mask.
Infernal Mask. Ah, cool. Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
It's funky. Yeah,
It's-
actually with the group members of DFM here, they'll be able to satchel this down. Oh, they're using the bullet time, actually. That is going to save the turret. Okay, fair play.
Does Seros just go in and do it anyway? He's just going to do it. Yeah, I think they've just got it. There you go. It's going to go down.
Oh, it's close. It can get it now.
Yeah, they've got it.
That is a slim calculation. So,
Seros knows Ziggs.
he absolutely does. He knows his hyper it too. He's been
Bullet
picking up-
time's gone down for a blank. Got to be careful, buddy.
Yes,
You
it's
wanna
flagging right to get out.
Yeah,
Ebby misses the knockup.
That's big news, but the call of the Forge Guard now being challenged.
Oh,
Channel,
dear.
that was a fantastic use of the Bellows Breath to avoid being knocked up. Blank is not going to get a kill on a Seal who manages to get his way out. Pyrion's already gone. It's a 1 for none in the mid lane.
So what happens when you press the E button on Azir when you only have one soldier up? It will go to it regardless of where your cursor is. Pyrion has to dash back into the team, looks for a shuffle and try and cancel the second part of the Call of Forge Guard with that movement disabling ultimate. But of course, the Bellows Breath does come in pretty huge there, as you were saying. So death for Pyrion on the Azir. Sat at 3-1-1, still doing well for himself, but it's going to be the turret down. A lot of ultimates traded across side to side.
It is, and DFM not done with this game as yet. They're finding ways to pick up people here and there. Ebby is once again proving to be very good on this one. Conqueror's stacked and World Ender's burned. It's a good searing charge to avoid Apperman's Darkin Blade there. And he's just going to be able to walk away.
Not the first time we've seen him kind of just throw out the ultimate, try and get a trade. I think he would have wanted more than that, of course. Ebby dodging out in the sweet spots and, of course, using the Bellows Press pretty well there beforehand to get a good trade. So yeah, Ebby performing pretty admirably on the Ornn, very tanky right now. We saw it in game 1 of their series versus V3, which was pretty stunning in its team fights. Actually, some really good combos with his with the searing charge to get onto the backline. So yeah, 1 minute until the next Ocean Drake spawns. It would be soul point for DFM if they were to get it. That would really warp the game because it means that Sengoku could not have the option of giving up a dragon again. So they're trying to secure this area of the map before that becomes an issue.
Versus the poke of a Senna and Ziggs who can just heal up with the likes of an Ornn and a Tahm Kench as well. You have to find the massive wombo engage at that point or suffer. I think is probably the way to put it.
Yeah, for sure. Apperman has himself 2 items now as well. He's ready to be that team fight diving champion we know him to be. Grand Starfall not quite up available yet, but it will be in time.
Sengoku waiting.
They are waiting, and DFM have no vision anywhere close to the dragon right now. They don't have priority in mid and bot lane, and there's no turrets to take on top lane for Seros to really be convinced to stay on that side of the map.
They have got top wave shoving though, which is something. Ocean Drake's up. I think they might just have to give it up. Blank is kind of stepping forwards. Apperman's finding himself a flank. It's not on vision.
It's setting up for another big team fight, isn't it?
It really is.
Feel
But
the
once
storm
again,
clouds
Sengoku Gaming
coalescing.
have managed to find themselves some good vision control in this river. They're starting up the Ocean Drake. It's going down to about
Apperman's
3 quarters
goalkeeping.
already. He is goalkeeping. Ebby's here. He's going forwards.
Cool.
I think
Forge
this
Gold might come
Ocean
out
Drake is going to go down. It is just going to be spied the way now. DFM might still look for the fight, though.
They might do, but there's a lot of mobility to be used here. And of course, the Thrash Lantern is very important in those kind of disengaged situations too. Apperman's going to return to the bot lane. So all things said and done, it's a bit of a freebie for Sengoku, but it would have been very difficult to commit to that play from DFM with the map state in the way it was.
Yep, it was. They're thinking about moving over to this Baron, though.
They might do. It might just be a bit of a vision sweep through and then try and pick off someone in rotation. Of course, the top lane is pushed in. That will be the consequence of it. The top side of the map is currently priority over to DFM right now, particularly because the mid lane was pushed in after that dragon play as well.
Well, we're all square as far as Drake's going out. It's an Ocean Drake apiece. It's a mountain to Sengoku Gaming. It's the Cloud over to DFM.
But the
They
thing is
are
that
hanging around
but
this.
Sen is not great at taking Baron, and so on also doesn't do the most amount of damage.
But they've
It's not
got
a
tank.
They do, but it's not quick, and they can still respond with a teleport from. Oh, NT might get caught here.
He's going to get stunned. He's in a lot of trouble. That's a lot of pick. He gets knocked up. He's done for. Blanks around the corner, but it's now it's a 5 versus 4. Pyrion's not there. He's in the top side. And now maybe DFM might turn on to this.
They might do, but again, they just don't take it very quickly. And then
Do they need to?
That's the good question there. Azir is waiting for
They
a
invert the
teleport in
ultimates.
base. They are going to start it. They're using the redemption to check actually from the dead support of NT.
Yep, that is of course an ability you can use from beyond the grave. not going to be a salvation this game, of course.
Oh, that's the
here
grand
we go.
starfall.
This is what they were looking for. They found their way in behind. That is going to be Utorimashi in trouble. He takes all the damage and he's just gone. It's a shutdown now. And Varian does just about survive. Blank has to flash away, but he's just about surviving. He's taken precipitously low, though. And that means they're going to turn around once again with no AD carry. They're going to start this again. Flash burn from Blank. And this is looking good for DFM around this Baron play.
It is, yeah, and that was a really big Grand Starfall. Apperman's still pretty huge. It's not actually going to be the Baron start again. They're going to use the Abyssal Void for their second global.
Perian's in a bit of trouble. He's going to try and shuffle away.
Lantern
The Lantern was big.
That was huge. So they actually trade an ult for an ult there, all things said and done. DFM eking out some advantages around the Baron. Apperman's actually behind this team, though. We might see them try and collapse onto Youthpon here. No, they're not going to go for it. It's just gonna,
he would have been a bit of a difficult spot, and Gang and Steel were still there.
Yeah. Okay, so DFM making sure that their semi-globals are coming into some fruition ahead. The Grand Starfall and the Abyssal Void coming in pretty huge. But this time they have and Sengoku have the balls to start the Baron with his ear.
Yeah, well, it's because they've still not got all that many ults to DFM. And
yeah, Cold Forge goes down. Grand Starfall's down. Abyssal Void is down. Dawning Shadow is down.
Mega Inferno Bomb is not. That might be the key here. We're going to see how this goes. It's going down pretty quick. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb. It's a big chunk of damage. NT now low. He's going to get caught up. Steel takes a lot of damage. The Cataclysm's good, but that's a nice Devour to save Steel's life. And NT, I think, will fall here once again. Ebby is just too tanky.
There's no mana on Perion. He can't keep up with this fight. They do try and go for an interesting play there to see if the blue buff goes up to the...
Gang has got a dead man's plate. He's pretty fast here, and he's getting healed up by the center behind. The Core of the Forge got his back up. They're caught in a bit of a choke point.
Oh, he misses on the second part, though.
Just missed the second part, though.
Yeah, this has been... DFM eking out advantages around this Baron once more. It's not led to a gold lead, but every so often they're finding a window of opportunity to look for a pick and look for something more. Sengoku playing pretty well on the defense as well in terms of trying to disengage these fights. They're losing the minimum mainly because of NT Thresh play, actually, although, unfortunately, he has been the guy to die on the darkness of the map as well. Actually, for once, actually finding some time to soak up some farm on the other side of the map. Has himself 2 items. We saw that bullet time do a pretty large amount of damage. It just didn't end up mattering too much because it was all into the Tom Kench, who had devoured
Aegis Assault as well.
Yeah, and the Aegis Assault as well. So it meant that the Devour was onto the priority target of Youthpon, who managed to disengage that fight pretty well.
Okay, so Ziggs is not far away from a death cap, but Azir has his. He went for its second item. He stopped off for the Lost Chapter. But that means that if Seros gets that death cap, he's in a strong position. But Perion is strong. But he's also got to find his way through a very tanky Tom Kench, this Ornn. He's got to find his way through an Aegis Assault. Like, he's not got the easiest job, especially when he doesn't have the best front line.
Exactly. And on the other side of it, this is Zir will have, 40% CDR.
He will.
He has himself, so he's pretty able to throw out that Empress Divide at will. He has himself a lot of mobility with that too, as long as he has enough mana available, which we saw being a problem. So
Seros has death cap.
He has himself death cap. He has himself the GLP to start disengaging some of this front line too, like Afferman, who's not really managed to find multi-directional fights. It's normally been front to back. And with the minefield playing such a big part alongside the last embrace from the center, it's been really hard to make this backline diving play, which you really want to make on the Azir. Oh, not the Azir, the Aatrox, the other A champion.
Yeah, we're going to see a teleport in from maybe he wants to be here, but vision control is solely in the favor of Sengoku gaming around this river one more time. Here comes the Grand Starfall. He's coming in behind. He's found a good flank. Now, who does he want to think about going on to? Does he flash? No, Afferman has not going to be targeted, and this means that Grand Starfall doesn't amount to much, but DFM find their way into the river this time, at least.
Yeah, actually, Afferman hops over the wall out of vision right now, so he can come in from... Oh, no, he's been seeing Mother Dragon because he's been attacking there. So, looks like, actually, this is going to be another tug of war between the two teams. Sengoku do have themselves a lot of their team fighting tools, but they have to be aware of the Call of the Forge God. That's really dangerous to them right now. And the poke is coming through.
It is, and that's what you've got a problem. Like, Azir wants to step forward and do something. Apperman's looking for a flank, though.
He might have found it, actually. He's got the angle.
He has got an angle. Is it the right one, though? He's going to be spotted on the ward coming through on that bush. I think they know where he's gone.
Sniff it out, actually, yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, okay, we don't want to be here. We know where Apperman is. Beautipon is just being very careful. Gang
lasts so long.
It does. And Ebby's just there. They've got to hook onto him. They're going to try and find it. Here comes Apperman. He's into the back.
Here!
He's going to find a fairly big gate, but they're turning it around on him. He's taking a lot of damage. Call the Forge God's big. It knocks up Yutori Miyashi. The bullet time is cancelled. But Gang now is in trouble. And that looks like Steel is taken precipitously low again. Apperman does not die. Perion has killed Steel. And that's going to be a huge win.
Shuffle.
That's going to be big now, but DFM kills Steel. That's,
Yudipon's alive.
Yudipon is alive, and he's running down Perion. He gets a shutdown now as well. Apperman is still low. Ebby is still
Abyssal
massively
Voyage.
tanked. The Abyssal Voyagers here. Gang is just trying to stop people going into the Tongue Lash. He slows down NT, but that means Apperman is left to die. It looked like Sengoku Gaming had it, but Yutapon and Ebby just turn it around.
So it was a really interesting flank from Apperman. Saros, importantly, ran out of mana at some point during that fight too, so he couldn't keep up the continued barrage. The bullet time was actually pretty big. It wasn't actually
interrupted.
It actually hadn't been
was
cast at that point. But then what we saw was a massive Mega Inferno Bomb onto Yutorimashi, which meant that he couldn't have the continued damage. He stayed in his bullet time. He chose to continue channeling it and take the bullet time here. There was a big redemption here. It was a Call of the Forge God into the Dawning Shadow, and we see right here the Mega Inferno Bomb sweet spot just hitting Yutorimashi. And at that point, he's effectively out of the fight. As much as Pyrian has a good shuffle, it's just not enough because he just lands on the minefield and he's taken out by, of course, the Senna. You have the approach velocity on the glacial tree as well, the inspiration tree. It means that every time you slow someone with the glacial auto or with your W, you're getting increased movement speed towards them. You can run people down on the Senna.
And this Senna, we've not checked in on her souls. We'll have to keep an eye on that at some point. But like, if Saros holds the Mega Inferno Bomb till Yutorimashi starts casting his bullet time, he will get nuked.
And Orn items, they're a thing.
They are.
You know what's a really good Orn item?
No,
you know what's a really good item in general?
I don't.
Rabadon's Death Cap.
Where is
really
it
good.
now?
You know, you can
I've never heard of it.
You can upgrade it even more. The Rabadon's Death Crown
No.
available to Ziggs
Ooh.
now as well. It's been upgraded. It is a huge amount of AP. So when we were talking about, you know, Yutorimashi standing still to be in that ultimate, if he has to take that Mega Inferno Bomb, that could be well within one-shot territory later into this game.
There's still wards around this vision right now, but of course with the Umbral Glaive, it can be a little easier to keep an eye on the vision control. There's still one ward to the left of the Baron Pit, though, that is still giving Sengoku Gaming a little bit of safety. But this is once again a very close game, and DFM's comp has been a problem in these team fights for Sengoku Gaming. They keep having one of their members soloed out, and they don't have a way to deal with the tanky frontline right now.
Not right now. Apperman has himself teleport level 16 as well. Going to back to see if he can complete himself to
starting.
Spirit Visage. But this is no vision from Sengoku right now. Blank is tentatively walking up. They use the
They
blue.
have got one ward off to the left. It's still there. They are going to teleport in.
There's a level advantage for Steel here. They're
Steel's
going once again with the ult.
Here we go. Yutorimashi's in trouble again. They've got onto him, though. Steel's gone very deep. They're going to try and get onto Yutorimashi. Steel survives. He's going to pull away. He gets devoured. The bullet time is burned. And that's a big chunk of Yutorimashi from that Mega Inferno Bomb.
But actually, that's a lot of cooldowns now burned. Ebby might get caught here, actually. He has nothing available to him.
He doesn't. He's going to
also very
charge.
tanky. So.
Yes. I am always a little bit dubious saying has the Orn been caught? Question mark.
For sure, yeah. So actually that time for once, so Steel ends up, the thing with the Grand Starfall is you, particularly from the jungle, you don't have as much level, so much tankiness as well. So what you want to do is end up on one side of the entire team, so your Aegis blocks up the most damage possible. What happened in that fight, he ended up kind of in between a number of members, so he was still taking damage, which meant that he had to disengage pretty quickly afterwards.
Yep.
So not quite as clean as it could have been. Call of the Forge God didn't connect on the second point as well. But then on the other side, you thought him actually not the best bullet time. It only caught like the trailing edge onto some of the tanky members, so it didn't really end up amounting to much.
No, it's not. And this game is pretty damn close. Let's
Yeah,
put it at
yeah.
that. And I wouldn't have wanted it any other
Oh, absolutely
way.
not.
We might end up at 5 games yet, Nightmare, or we might see a Death Crown turn into an LJL crown. We'll have to see how it goes, because Sengoku Gaming have managed to find themselves onto the Baron. They're clearing up vision. They've not started it yet,
Yeah.
but DFM on the reset will at least be around, but they've got to find their way into the river again, and that can be a little difficult versus how DFM play with their
So yeah,
sweepers.
Call of the Forge got only a couple of seconds on cooldown, same with the Grand Starfall, so we could see the same bread and butter play coming out from DFM. Right now, mid lane wave is the question, though. Who's going to get priority over it? Both of them just disappear from the wave clear.
They really do. Ziggs Bomb's starting to sting a bit, though.
Yeah, they sting quite a bit. The Morel Nomicon also there, which is pretty important versus the Aatrox. It's also going to be important versus the eventual Bloodthirster built up by Yutorimashi. Only sat on the Vamp Scepter right now, though.
They're going to start it.
Yeah, they might do here. Remember, Azir takes us down really quickly. They might be willing to try and trade mid lane here for that, but it looks like DFM are going for the Grand Starfall once again. Here
we go. They're going in. Baron's up 4,000. It's just gone down to 2. They're into the backline. Baron surely will be secured. It's taken by Misfortune, but now Sengoku going in. They're on the wrong side of this Baron pit. They've got to try and recall somehow, some way. They're teleporting in. Apperman's in a bit of a difficult spot. Blank will die, but I think everybody else has backed away. Blank does survive for now, but Apperman is dead. He's going to try and find his way out. I think he'll be looking for an execute. He has got to find some way out. The turret, I think, surely will be his doom.
You might have double back up. No, just the speed up from the
center.
From the center there on the E. It's going to be enough to eventually catch them up. And what this means is actually they're trying to time out the death timer here because it's still like 30 seconds right up until they're playing with that thing. They're trying to kill Blank as late as possible so he won't be up for the Dragon Soul fight. He's going on the tower to make sure he dies.
That's it. But he's going to be dead for 40 seconds. The Ocean Drake up is in 20.
It is. So, at least there is a Baron buff on the Azir. He's going to be one of the primary pushes as well. It might even get them to get a lot of damage onto the mid lane in a turret here for DFM, but it won't end up killing it. The good thing for this is that at least DFM don't have the Baron. They were trying to bait it so many times. Actually, it looks like Sengoku are going to be there first towards the Baron as well. They're TPing right onto this.
It'll be on, and I don't think they have the damage to think about considering fighting that. Ebby came in pretty low, but there is a Senna to heal him straight back.
There's no smite steal. They might have to go for an uneven fight just to deny the soul here.
They're going to have to try and think about it. Appleman doesn't have teleport, so I don't know whether he's going to be around.
They might have to give up Ocean Soul.
That's a huge deal. They're pulling the Drake back. They're going to take this Ocean Soul.
They might try and steal it with the bullet time here, actually.
It's a solid smite, and that means Ocean Soul on all this tankiness, all this poke. Utorimashi gets devoured. Oh no, he's gone down.
You can't try and contest that right there. The flash forward from Gang. I mean, I was talking about, maybe he won't have as much agency on this Tom Kench. He's making it work, making some plays. They don't have a Baron to take themselves, but they have an Ocean Soul now. It's going to make these fights so much harder to win.
With 3 Ocean Drakes.
Yeah, they do, and that means that the poke just doesn't last. Look how much HP Ebby just gets back over time.
How does Azir get onto anybody meaningful?
I mean, basically what you're looking for is a crazy shuffle now. You need to one-shot the backline, and I'm not sure that's enough, really. Ebby's just going to tease it.
Like, what are you going to do? There's a Senna behind him. He just heals up. The wave is obliterated by Mega Inferno Bomb, but the Mega Inferno Bomb hits no members of Sengoku Gaming.
And actually, with that down, maybe they try and look for a fight here without Steel there. No, Steel's actually going to be pushing in the bot lane.
He's got the effective teleport.
And they don't have Utorimashi alive as well, so they can't go for that 4v4 fight in the mid lane because they just don't have their strong AD carry. And
it's a negative 1,000 Baron play.
Yeah, losing so many people after that. Again, these Grand Starfalls have been on point from Steel. He's really showing he knows how to play this champion outside of the early game.
He does, and DFM looking to shove in with another one of these compositions that perhaps you might have thought lacked a bit of damage, but Senna survived a difficult early game. She's 4-2-8. Ziggs is at 3 items with an upgraded death cap. Like, there is enough damage to nuke off people when there's not that much tankiness.
Yeah, and there's like 4 upgraded All-Might, as well, 3 upgraded teammate items. There's the Obsidian Cleaver, the Rabadon's Death Crown, and the Yomu's Wraith Blade to give you the extra amount of lethality for the Senna too. So a lot of gold advantage coming through just from the extra stats from DFM. Although there are a lot of items on the Azir. Azir can definitely one-shot some of these members if they are caught out. But the phalanx, which has been set up from DFM, which is very obviously very topical because they have the hot plight in Pantheon on their team as well. It's not been broken yet. This Azir has not found it easy to find some kills coming into this mid to late game. 117 souls, going 120 souls for Senna. So long range as well. You're looking for a godlike flank now from Sengoku to really end this game.
And you've still got to get through
Ocean
the
Soul?
Minefield, the Ocean Soul, the
Devour.
The Devour was exactly what I was leading up to,
GLT.
because you've got to find your way through this literal minefield of abilities and safety nets to get onto the massive range of a Ziggs in a late game Senna.
Yeah, and now at least the Elder Dragon is an option now. But the question is, do you ever get priority on that objective? No, probably not. Not at this point. You're going to be against a team that can't be poked out because the Senna has, max rank. Q has herself a lot of and the Ocean Soul and lots of the Ocean Dragons as well. The poke doesn't stick. The poke lands from DFM, and it's going to be really hard to get positioning around their way.
About a bit of positioning.
Ziggs is in top lane.
Ziggs
That's
is
what
top
they're
lane.
playing around here. He can take down turrets very quickly with this amount of AP.
He can, and he's just going to.
He's going to take this before they get there.
I think they are. They're going to see a bit of a home call. They're just trying to stop that Dawning Shadow came through to stop it. I think it's just going to go. It disappears. That will not be the inhibitor, I don't think, because Jarvan is back. They're looking for a fight. They have forced a shove onto Pyrian. He's going to be Grand Starfalled on, but Utorimayashi's got to find a way out here. Aatrox will find his way on to Ziggs, though.
Well, they are not in Kansas anymore.
Not in Kansas. I think Saros might die for this. He's got
no
a flash.
Yeah.
He has got his flash, not quite up. Blank's done a turnaround. I think Saros probably dies, but he has got an inhibitor for it. I think it's probably worthwhile.
Yeah, but he's going to be dead for like 60 seconds now, and the Baron will be up when he spawns.
He's got a teleport.
He does have teleport, so he will be there in time, but he won't be there to add the wave clear for priority across the map. It might mean that his team has to back off from a lot of these plays because they know the Ziggs won't be there to be a part of their team fight.
I think an inhibitor at this point is probably still worthwhile. It forces someone to be paying attention to that wave, but it is a difficult call. And
but things like it's on the top lane, and you're going to try and push out the top lane anyway. It's on the same side of the map. You don't have to commit to a teleport to push out that wave.
It will still be down when the Elder Drake's up, though.
It will still be down at that point, but that's in 2 minutes now. So actually, the next objective will still be the Baron, which is up in only 15 seconds. And because the Ziggs is dead, there will be mid-prio for Sengoku. The question is whether they can find a fight anyway. Owen's teleporting in, speak of the devil.
And he is, but it's a 4 versus 5.
They're committing to the fight.
They are. Saros is not alive for 10 seconds.
That's a long hook.
That's a long hook. Ebby flashes out. He's still alive. That is Apperman getting rooted in place by the last embrace. Yutabon's in a bit of an odd position, but Sengoku Gaming cannot find the engage, and Saros is here.
And also delaying with the Azir turret too and the minions in place there. I think Sengoku rushed the Baron because they know that they don't have the teleport available. They don't have the flash available from Ornn. This is going to be such a hard fight.
It will be. They're going to try and find the way. Here comes the call of the Forge God. Yutori has to be so careful. He's knocked up. That's a Dawning Shadow over the top as well that does massive damage. Ebby gets onto Thresh. He's gone down. Blank is also caught in no man's land. They're onto Yutori. Pyrion is backing. He knows the fight is lost. Yutori buys time. That's all he can do. Blank once again is going to try and play.
And they've got Pantheon too.
But Pantheon here and says, what is my profession? It is slaying Demasia's prince.
It is, and they're going to push in through that aforementioned down inhibitor in the top lane. It's a down inhibitor, a down team, a down series for Sengoku, who look like they might just lose this series now.
And there was a moment of doubt, but the gods have ascended back to Olympus. I care not about your pedigree. SKT members, Pyrion falls. It's Appermen versus the world. And this time, DFM will not be denied. They are your champions of Spring 2020, and they win this series 3-2-1.
It's not a 3-0, but it's about as good as you can get from DFM. It was hard fought. Sengoku ended up beating them to get to the finals, but they couldn't close them out to the death. DFM rightfully owned themselves that crown. And so, post-series, post-split, Mass1, take it away.
Well, gentlemen, we have had an incredible series. Detonation FocusMe close it out. Congratulations to DFM, the undisputed champions of the LJL and the best team we have ever seen from them. I mean, this is just multiple different avenues coming out, and it honestly is just some of the most impressive League of Legends we've honestly seen from DFM.
From the LJL, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
100% DFM, the LJL. This split has only improved dramatically as it has gone on, and watch out, world, the LJL is really starting to step up.
I think if there's anything to say about this playoffs, the LJL is not a one-team region anymore. No, it is. DFM played well today. They rightfully won. They were pushed. That game 4 could have gone either way. They lost the game as well. And, of course, they turned up big on this patch, but they have been pretty fallible before. DFM, however, retained their crown, and for their intents and purposes, they are the one team in this region. They continue their streak of dominance. Congratulations, DFM.
Really, really spectacular. My faith was rewarded. My fellow analysts and hosts, bask in my superior glory. I'll rub this in just for a little bit.
We can just
genuinely, actually, it was a great series. I enjoyed it a lot. Sengoku Gaming came to play. That game 3 was so much fun. It was messy. It was. But it was a great fight. This last game was the closest. We saw another focus on that bot side, but it hit this point around objectives where the Call of the Forge God comes in, the Grand Starfall comes in, the Mega Inferno Bomb comes in, and Yutori Mayashi and Pyrion had nowhere to stand but the Death Realm. That was what they had, and I just congratulations to DFM. Great option.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that will also be the final game from us in the LJL Officially Unofficial.
Man.
It's been a long few months for us, but it's been incredible casting all of this, honestly.
It's bittersweet, actually. You know, how many games have we done now? Because there were 4 games today, 3 games yesterday.
Every game of the spring split, plus then every single game of the playoffs and the tiebreaker matches as well.
You know, we're heading up to have covered, 90 odd matches in this LJL spring split, and we did it a bit on a whim.
A little
bit.
But we did it on our own, and it's been really cool watching this region. I mean, as much as I am an LCK fanboy, I watch my major regions. It's not the highest level League of Legends, but casting with you guys, watching as well, it's been really fun.
Yeah. Initialize, any other thoughts?
I mean, it's nice saying it's not the highest level League of Legends, but I actually think that was some pretty good stuff we saw.
We see some good stuff. We see some good stuff.
And Sengoku Gaming, V3, DFM are consummately good teams. I would not be ashamed to send them to an international stage. Do I think they would win? Possibly not. Do I think they would compete?
Just because they're crazy.
Exactly. We've got the likes of Aria in this region who does some interesting stuff. We've got art. We've got this brilliant stuff, and it has been an utter pleasure to cast this crazy schedule of a split with the world as it is. And thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gents. It genuinely has been an honor.
And with that all said, that brings our cast to an end. Detonation FocusMe are our champions. Now, obviously, we do have to shamelessly plug ourselves here. As you can obviously see below each of us is our namesake. And that was just Detonation FocusMe giving us a masterclass in multiple different aspects. Yep. Congratulations to them. They will sadly would not be, they would normally be going to MSI, but sadly there is no MSI happening. But we will be back with more LJL action when summer split begins. We will be covering all of that, as well as we do also have our own podcast, which we will be covering on a week-by-week basis with some pretty exciting future projects coming up as well for our YouTube channel, as well as the podcast and everything else. For myself, Initialize, and Nymera, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible stream. It's sad to see it go, but almost all good things must come to an end. Thank you so much, and have a lovely rest of your day.